You assaulted Earth, Part 5. The New Order 1 month had passed since the fall of the Veth Empire. Admiral Taiho stood before the Galactic Council. He wore his formal uniform, clean and pressed. Behind him, a holographic image of Earth floated, scarred and burned, but still turning. Still alive. The chamber was silent. 500 species watched a human who had changed everything. They watched with fear, with respect, with hope, with uncertainty. The council speaker rose from their position at the center of the great hall. Admiral Taiho, the speaker said, "You have requested to address this council. We will hear you." Taiho nodded. He took a deep breath and began to speak. 52 days ago, the Veth Empire attacked Earth. They came without warning. They killed 8 billion people. They burned our cities, poisoned our oceans, and tried to erase our species from existence. He paused, letting the words sink in. This council did nothing to stop them. The Veth had broken your laws. They had violated the protection period. But no one moved to help us. No one raised their voice. You sat in your seats and watched my people die. Several ambassadors looked down, unable to meet his eyes. "We do not forget this," Taiho said. "We will never forget. But we also understand. The Veth were powerful. You were afraid. Fear makes people do things they later regret. We know this because we have felt fear too." He walked to the center of the chamber, where all could see him clearly. Now the Veth are defeated. Their emperor is in chains, waiting for trial. Their military is gone. Their empire is broken. He looked around at the assembled aliens. Many of you wonder what comes next. You ask yourselves, will the humans become the new masters? Will they enslave us as the Veth did? Will they take revenge on those who did not help them? The silence in the chamber was heavy. The answer is no, Taiho said firmly. We did not fight this war to become conquerors. We fought to survive. We fought to protect ourselves. And we fought for something bigger, the idea that no species should fear destruction simply because they are weak. He pointed at the holographic Earth behind him. Look at our world. It is broken. Billions are dead. Our greatest cities are ash. Recovery will take generations. But we did not ask for revenge. We asked for justice. Emperor Raxer will face trial. The leaders who ordered the attack will answer for their crimes. That is enough. Ambassador Yuna stepped forward from her seat. She had been standing in the human section, watching her admiral speak. Now she moved to join him at the center. If I may add something, she said. Taiho nodded. Please. Yuna faced the council. Her voice was clear and strong. Before the attack, humanity was treated like children. We sat in the back of this chamber. Our voices were ignored. Our concerns were dismissed. Many of you thought we were too young, too weak to matter. She smiled slightly. You were wrong. We are neither weak nor foolish. We knew from the day we joined this council that danger waited in the dark. We knew that someday someone would try to destroy us. So we prepared quietly, patiently, for 50 years. You deceived us, one ambassador called out. It was a tall, silver-skinned creature from a warrior species. You hid your true strength. You lied to the council. Yes, Yuna said simply. We did, because the alternative was death. If the Veth had known our true power, they would have brought more ships. They would have formed alliances. The war would have been longer and bloodier. Perhaps they would have won. She shook her head. We made the choice that any species would make. We protected ourselves. And now, with that protection no longer needed, we share the truth openly. We have no more secrets. The council murmured among themselves. Some were angry. Some were impressed. Most were simply trying to understand. What do you want from us? The speaker asked. Tae-ho stepped forward again. "We want change," he said. "This council has rules, but those rules mean nothing if they are not enforced. The Veth broke the protection law, and no one stopped them. How many other species have suffered because this council would not act?" He looked at the section where formerly conquered species sat, the small, blue-skinned people, the ones the Veth had enslaved for centuries. These species were prisoners in their own homes. They begged for help. They sent messages to this council for 200 years. And what did you do? You debated. You discussed. You did nothing. The speaker had no answer. "We propose a new agreement," Tae-ho continued. "A true alliance. Not one where the strong ignore the weak, but one where all species stand together. If one world is attacked, all worlds respond. No more waiting. No more watching. No more fear. And if we refuse?" Another ambassador asked. Tae-ho met his eyes. "Then humanity will stand alone, as we always have. We will protect ourselves and any species that asks for our help. But the council will lose the chance to be part of something better." He paused. "The choice is yours." The debate lasted for hours. Species argued with each other. Old grudges surfaced. Ancient fears were spoken aloud. But in the end, when the vote was called, the result was clear. 463 species voted yes. Only 37 voted no. The new alliance was formed. Ambassador Yuna walked out of the chamber that night with Tae-ho beside her. June followed them, still wide-eyed at everything that had happened. "Do you think it will work?" June asked. "The alliance?" Yuna looked up at the stars through the station's great windows. "I don't know," she admitted. "It depends on whether species can overcome their fear and selfishness. That has always been hard for everyone, including humans." "But you gave them a chance," Tae-ho said. "That's more than they had before." Yuna nodded. She thought about Earth, about the ruins being cleared, the survivors being helped, the slow work of rebuilding. It would take 100 years to recover, maybe longer, but humanity would survive. They had faced the worst the galaxy could throw at them, and they were still standing. "Admiral," June said quietly, "what happens to the Veth now? Their empire is gone. Their people have nothing." Tae-ho's face was thoughtful. "We helped them," he said. June blinked. "Help them? After what they did?" "Yes." Tae-ho turned to face the young man. "The Veth soldiers were following orders. The Veth civilians did not choose war. Only their leaders were guilty." He sighed. "If we leave them with nothing, they will grow bitter. They will raise their children to hate humans. In 50 years, we will face another war. The cycle will continue forever." He shook his head. "We break that cycle. We show them another way. Not because they deserve it, but because we choose to be better than our pain." June was quiet for a long moment. Then he nodded slowly. "I think I understand," he said. They walked together toward the human section of the station. Behind them, the great chamber emptied. The vote was over. History had changed. 1 month later, the first human aid ships arrived at Veth worlds. They brought food, medicine, teachers. They helped rebuild what had been destroyed. The Veth watched, confused, suspicious, but slowly beginning to understand. 1 year later, the first Veth ambassador took a seat in the new Alliance Council. It was a young Veth, one who had never known war. She sat near the human section and listened carefully to everything. 10 years later, humans and Veth worked side by side on joint projects. Old hatreds faded, not completely, but enough. The young Veth learned that humans were not insects to be crushed. And humans learned that even enemies could become partners, given time. On Earth, the scars remained. There were memorials on every continent, monuments to the 8 billion who had died. Every year, on the anniversary of the attack, the entire planet stopped. People gathered, remembered, mourned, but they also celebrated. They celebrated survival. They celebrated the strength that had saved them. They celebrated the choice to be better than revenge. Admiral Taiho retired to a small house near the ocean. Captain Sora became the first human general in the Alliance forces. Ambassador Yuna led the diplomatic corps for another 20 years before teaching at the academy where she had once learned. And Junyoung, nervous Jun who had stood beside Yuna on the worst day in human history, became the next ambassador to the Galactic Council. On the day he took his seat, he looked around the great chamber. It was the same room where he had watched Earth burn, but everything else had changed. Humans were no longer in the back. They sat at the center, respected, feared, admired. Around them, species that had once been strangers were now allies. The galaxy was not perfect, it never would be, but it was better. June thought about the words Admiral Taiho had spoken all those years ago. Humanity will never be prey. Never again. They had kept that promise, and the galaxy had learned. You do not assault Earth. Not ever. Not again. You assaulted Earth. Part 4. The reckoning Captain Sora dropped from the transport ship onto Veth soil. Her boots hit the metal ground with a solid thud. Around her, 100 soldiers followed, their weapons ready. Sorai was 30 years old. She had grown up in Bizen on Earth's Korean peninsula. Her parents had been teachers. Her little brother had wanted to be an astronaut. They were all dead now, killed in the first wave of bombs. She did not think about that. She could not think about it. Not yet. There was work to do. Squad leaders report, she said into her communicator. Alpha ready. Beta ready. Gamma ready. Sora looked at the Veth city before her. It was nothing like Earth cities. No trees, no parks, no places for families to gather. Only factories and barracks and tall buildings made of dark metal. The Veth did not believe in beauty. They believed only in power. Our mission is simple, Sora told her soldiers. We take the government center. We capture the Veth leaders. No civilian casualties. No revenge killings. We are soldiers, not murderers. Understood? Yes, Captain. Her soldiers shouted together. They moved forward. The streets were empty. Most Veth civilians had hidden inside their homes, terrified of the human invaders. Sora saw faces watching from windows, large eyes filled with fear. Good. Let them be afraid. Let them understand what their leaders had done. But she also remembered her orders. These were not the ones who bombed Earth. These were workers, families, ordinary people. They would not be harmed. Contact the head, one of her scouts reported. Veth soldiers, 20 of them, guarding the main plaza. Sora raised her hand, stopping her unit. Can we go around? Negative. They're blocking the only path to the government center. Sora thought for a moment. Her soldiers were watching her, waiting for orders. Some of them had lost everyone they loved. They wanted blood. She could see it in their eyes. We go through, she said. But we give them a chance to surrender. One chance. She walked forward alone. Her soldiers wanted to stop her, but she waved them back. She stepped into the open plaza, her hands raised. The Veth soldiers saw her and raised their weapons. Their leader, an officer with a scarred shell, stepped forward. Human, he shouted. You dare come here? We will kill you. Sora did not flinch. Your fleet is destroyed, she said, her voice calm and clear. Your generals have surrendered. Your emperor is hiding in his palace, waiting to be captured. This war is over. You lost. The Veth officer shook with anger. Lies. The Veth Empire never loses. Look up, Sora said. The officer looked. In the gray sky above, human ships were visible, circling the city. Hundreds of them. Those ships could destroy this city in seconds, Sora continued. Every building, every street, every person. But they won't, because we are not like you. We don't murder civilians. She lowered her hand slowly. You can fight us. You can die here, in this plaza, for nothing. Or you can put down your weapons and live. Choose. The Veth soldiers looked at each other. They looked at their officer. They looked at the sky. One by one, they lowered their weapons. The officer was the last. His claws shook with rage and shame. But in the end, he too dropped his gun. Wise choice, Sora said. Her soldiers moved in and secured the prisoners. No shots were fired. The march to the government center took 2 hours. Along the way, more Veth forces surrendered. Word had spread. The humans did not kill those who gave up. This was strange to the Veth. In their culture, surrender meant death. The fact that humans showed mercy confused them. Why don't you kill us? A captured Veth soldier asked Sora. She looked at him. He was young, for a Veth. His shell was pale green, not yet hardened. Did you bomb Earth? She asked. No, I am only a guard. I have never left this planet. Then, you are not my enemy. Sora turned away. The ones who gave the orders, the ones who planned the attack, they will face justice. But not you. Not the ones who only followed. The young Veth stared at her with confusion. This did not match anything he'd been taught about humans. They were supposed to be weak, foolish, easy to kill. They were not supposed to be merciful. At the government center, the Veth Emperor waited. His name was Raxa III, and he was the oldest Veth alive. His shell was pure black, a sign of great age and power. He had ruled for 80 years. He had ordered the conquest of 12 worlds. He had sent the fleet to destroy Earth. When Sora and her soldiers entered his throne room, he did not run. He did not beg. He simply sat on his great metal throne and watched them come. So, Raxer said, the insects have won. Sora walked toward him, her rifle lowered. You are under arrest, she said. You will be taken to the Galactic Council to face trial for crimes against humanity. Against all the species you enslaved. Against everyone you murdered. Raxer laughed. It was a dry, clicking sound. Trial? By whose authority? The Council did nothing when we conquered others. They will do nothing now. Things have changed, Sora said. Humanity has a voice now. And we will make sure it is heard. The Emperor leaned forward, his many eyes studying her face. I see hatred in you, he said. You want to kill me. I can feel it. You lost someone on Earth, did you not? Sora's jaw tightened. Images flashed through her mind, her parents smiling, her brother laughing, their home disappearing in fire. Yes, she said quietly. I lost everything. Then do it, Raxer said. He spread his clawed arms wide. Kill me. Take your revenge. It is what I would do. It is what any species with strength would do. Sora raised her rifle. Her finger touched the trigger. It would be so easy. One shot. Justice for her family. For Earth. For everything. Her soldiers watched in silence. None would stop her. They all understood. For a long moment, Sora stood there, her weapon aimed at the Emperor's head. Then she lowered it. No, she said. Death would be too easy for you. You would become a martyr. Your people would remember you as a hero. She stepped closer, looking directly into his eyes. Instead, you will live. You will stand trial. The galaxy will see every crime you committed. Every species you hurt will speak against you. And then you will spend the rest of your long life in a cell, knowing that your empire is gone and that a species you called insects brought you down. Raxer's eyes widened. For the first time, Real fear crossed his face. Not fear of death, fear of disgrace. "You cannot do this," he whispered. "I can," Sora said. "I am." She turned to her soldiers. "Take him." They dragged the Emperor from his throne. He did not resist. He had no strength left. As Sora walked out of the throne room, she looked back one last time at the empty seat of power. The Veth had built their empire on conquest and cruelty. Now it was ended, not by a greater cruelty, but by something they could not understand. Mercy, justice, humanity. Outside, the gray sky was clearing. For the first time in centuries, sunlight touched the streets of Raxes Prime. Veth civilians emerged from their homes. Blinking at the brightness, they looked at the human soldiers with fear and wonder. "What happens now?" one of them asked. Sora stopped. She thought about the question. "Now," she said, "we help you build something better." She walked on. Behind her, the Veth watched. They did not understand these humans. They had come expecting death. They had found something else instead, a new beginning. You assaulted Earth. Part 3. The response. Admiral Taiho stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Dawn. He was 57 years old, with gray hair cut short and a face marked by decades of service. He had spent his entire life preparing for this moment. Now it was here, and he felt no joy, only duty. Around him, officers worked at their stations. Screens showed thousands of ships forming up in perfect lines. The human fleet stretched across space like a wall of steel and fire. Admiral, his second-in-command, said. She was Captain Mira, a sharp woman with quick eyes. "All ships report ready. We can jump on your command." Taiho nodded slowly. He looked out the main window at the distant stars. Somewhere out there, Earth was still burning. Rescue teams were pulling survivors from the ruins. Billions were dead, but millions still lived, hiding in bunkers and underground cities that the Veth bombs had not reached. "What are our numbers?" Taiho asked. 1,200 warships, 300 support vessels, 200 medical ships. Myra paused. "Plus the volunteer forces." "Volunteer forces?" "Yes, sir. Ships from the mining colonies, the research stations, even civilian transports. They want to fight." Taiho closed his eyes. This was what he loved about humanity. Even in their darkest hour, they came together. Miners who had never held a weapon were ready to die for their species. Scientists were loading their research ships with missiles. Families were flying cargo haulers into war. "Tell the volunteers to stay back," Taiho said. "Protect the evacuation routes. We need them to save lives, not lose their own." "Yes, sir." Taiho turned to his communications officer. "Open a channel to all ships." The young officer, a man named Hyan, pressed several buttons. "Channel open, Admiral." Taiho straightened his uniform. He had written speeches for this moment, practiced words that would inspire his people. But now, standing here, those words felt empty. So he spoke from his heart. "This is Admiral Taiho," he said. His voice went out to every ship, every soldier, every pilot in the fleet. "You all know what happened to Earth. You have seen the images. You have felt the pain. Many of you lost family, friends, everything you knew." He paused, gathering himself. "The Veth that could destroy us with one strike. They thought we were weak. They were wrong." His voice grew harder. "For 50 years, we built this fleet in secret. We trained for a war we hoped would never come. But it came. And now we answer." The bridge was silent. Every officer watched their admiral. "We are not going to conquer the Veth," Taiho continued. "We are not going to enslave them. We are not going to become what they are. But we are going to show them and the entire galaxy that humanity will never be prey. Never again." He took a deep breath. "Today, We jump to Veth space. We will strike their military bases. We will destroy their weapons factories. We will free the species they have enslaved. And we will make them understand one simple truth. If you attack Earth, Earth attacks back. He looked at the stars one more time. All ships prepare to jump. For Earth, for humanity, for everyone we lost. The fleet moved as one. The Veth homeworld was called Raxes Prime. It was a dark planet, covered in metal cities and massive factories. The sky was always gray from the smoke of industry. 10 billion Veth lived there, and they ruled their empire with an iron claw. When the human fleet appeared in their sky, the Veth could not believe it. Impossible, the Veth military commander said. His name was General War, and he had led armies across a dozen worlds. The humans are destroyed. This must be some trick. But it was no trick. 1,200 human ships hung in orbit. Their weapons pointed at the planet below. Admiral Taiho opened a communication channel. General Vor, he said. This is Admiral Taiho of the Human Defense Force. Your fleet at Earth has been destroyed. You have no ships left to protect your homeworld. I am giving you one chance to surrender. Vor stared at the screen showing Taiho's face. The human looked calm, almost peaceful. This made Vor angry. Humans do not give orders to the Veth. Vor shouted. We are the masters of this galaxy. You are nothing. Taiho's expression did not change. Your species attacked our world without warning. You killed billions of innocent people, children, families, old ones who could not fight. His voice remained steady. We could destroy your planet the same way. We have the power. We have the right. But we are not like you. Then you are fools, Vor said. You should kill us while you can, because we will never stop. We will rebuild. We will come for you again. Taiho shook his head slowly. No, he said. You will not. Because after today, you will not have the power to threaten anyone ever again. The human fleet began its attack. But they did not bomb cities. They did not target civilians. Instead, they struck military bases, one by one. Weapons factories exploded. Shipyards burned. Missile silos were reduced to dust. The Veth tried to fight back. Ground batteries fired at the human ships. Fighter craft rose to meet them. But human technology was too advanced, too precise. The Veth weapons could not touch them. General Vor watched his empire's military might disappear in hours. Send for the reserves. He screamed. Call our allies. Someone must help us. But there were no reserves. The Veth had sent everything to Earth, confident in their victory. And their allies, other species they had bullied and threatened, were watching and doing nothing. Some were even glad. On the council station, Ambassador Yuna watched the battle on a large screen. Beside her, representatives from species the Veth had conquered gathered to see their former masters humbled. The Veth enslaved my people for 200 years, said a small blue-skinned creature. Tears ran down his face. We thought no one would ever stop them. Today, someone did, Yuna said. Will the humans become the new masters? Another species asked, fear in his voice. Will they enslave us now? Yuna turned to face them. Her expression was kind but serious. No, she said. That is not who we are. We fight because we must, not because we want power. When this is over, we will help rebuild. All species will be free. That is our promise. The aliens looked at her with something they had not felt in a long time. Hope. Back at Raxes Prime. The battle was ending. The Veth military was broken. General Vor sat in his command center, surrounded by screens showing destruction. It is over, one of his officers said. We have nothing left. Vor did not answer. He stared at the screens, watching human ships fly over his cities without bombing them. Why? Why did they not destroy everything? It is what he would have done. Admiral Taiho's face appeared on the main screen again. "General Vor," Taiho said, "your military is finished. Your weapons are gone. But your cities are untouched. Your people are alive. This is your chance to choose a new path." Vor looked at the human with hatred and confusion. "Why?" he asked. "Why show mercy? We killed your world. We murdered your children. You should hate us." Taiho was quiet for a moment. "I do hate you," he said finally. "I hate what you did. I will never forgive it. But hate is not a reason to become a monster. If we kill your innocent people, we are no better than you. And humanity will always be better." He leaned forward. "Surrender. Face justice for your crimes. And maybe, one day, your species can learn to be something other than conquerors." Vor wanted to refuse. Every part of him screamed to fight, to die with honor. But there was no honor left. Only a choice between survival and extinction. Slowly, painfully, he spoke the words he never thought he would say. "We surrender." You assaulted Earth, Part 2. The silence. 3 days passed after the attack on Earth. In those 3 days, the galaxy held its breath. Every species, every world, every ship waited for news. What had happened to humanity? Were they truly destroyed? Some said yes. Others were not so sure. Ambassador Yuna remained at the council station. She did not leave. She did not eat in public. She did not speak to anyone except her assistant June, and even then, only in whispers. She sat in her small office, surrounded by screens showing nothing but static. Earth's communication networks had gone dark. The colonies had stopped transmitting. It was as if humanity had simply vanished from the universe. "They are gone," the Veth ambassador told the council on the second day. "We have won a great victory. The human threat is ended." Many in the council believed him. The smaller species were afraid. They had seen what happened to Earth. They did not want the same fate for their own worlds. So they stayed quiet. They lowered their heads. They hoped the Veth would be satisfied. But some noticed something strange. "The human ambassador is still here," the speaker observed. "If her people are destroyed, why does she stay?" Kreth waved one of his clawed hands. "Denial," he said. "She cannot accept the truth. Soon she will beg us for mercy. They always do." But Yuna did not beg. She did not cry. She simply waited. On the third day, a representative from the Merchant Guild came to see her. His name was Paul, and he was a short creature with gray skin and large eyes. His species cared only about trade and profit. They had no armies, no weapons, only ships full of goods. "Ambassador," Paul said nervously, "I must ask you something." Yuna looked up from her tablet. Her face showed nothing. "Ask," she said. "My guild has ships near your solar system. We were going to collect salvage from what remains." He paused, ashamed. "But our ships cannot enter. Something is blocking them. A field of some kind. We have never seen technology like this." Yuna almost smiled. "Almost. Your ships should leave that area," she said. "It will not be safe there soon." "Not safe? What do you mean?" But Yuna said nothing more. She returned to her tablet, and Paul understood he was dismissed. That night, June came to Yuna's office. He looked tired and scared. He was young, only 22, and he had never seen war before. "Ambassador," he said, "please tell me what is happening. The other staff are terrified. They think we should run, find somewhere to hide. They think the Veth will come for us next." Yuna set down her tablet. She looked at June with something like kindness. "Sit down," she said. June sat. "What do you know about Earth's history?" Yuna asked. June frowned. I studied it in school. Wars, mostly. Humans fighting each other. Yes, Una said. For thousands of years, we fought. Country against country. Brother against brother. We became very good at war. Too good. She paused. When we finally reached space, we made a promise. No more fighting among ourselves. We would be united. But we also remembered something important. What? The universe is dangerous. We saw what happened to other species. The weak were conquered. The peaceful were enslaved. We knew that one day, someone would come for us. Una's eyes grew hard. So we prepared. Prepared? June leaned forward. But the council reports say our military is small. A few hundred ships. Nothing compared to the Veth. Una laughed softly. It was the first time June had ever heard her laugh. The council reports say what we wanted them to say, she said. For 50 years, we let the galaxy think we were weak. We built small ships and showed them to everyone. We talked about peace and cooperation. We smiled and nodded and played the role of the harmless young species. But that was not real? It was partly real. We do want peace. We do value cooperation. Una's voice dropped low. But behind the mask, we built something else. Secret shipyards in asteroids that look empty. Hidden bases on moons that no one visits. Factories deep underground, working day and night for 50 years. June's eyes went wide. How many ships? More than the Veth have ever seen. More than they can imagine. Una stood and walked to her window. Outside, the stars burned cold and bright. The attack on Earth was terrible. Billions died. Our cities are gone. This pain will never heal. But the Veth made a mistake. They thought they destroyed everything. They did not know about the ships waiting in the dark. Why didn't we use them before? Why didn't we protect Earth? Una was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was heavy with sadness. Because we could not reveal our strength too soon. If the Veth knew what we had, they would have brought more ships. They would have called their allies. The battle would have been longer, harder, and Earth would still have burned. She closed her eyes. We made a choice. A terrible choice. Let them strike first. Let them think they won. And then? Una opened her eyes. They were filled with cold fire. And then we showed them what humanity really is. The next morning, the council chamber erupted in chaos. Ships had been detected near the Veth fleet that still orbited Earth. Human ships. Thousands of them. They had appeared from nowhere, from hidden places throughout the solar system. Impossible! Kreth screamed. Our scanners showed nothing. Where did they come from? The holographic display showed the battle beginning. The Veth fleet, still celebrating their victory, suddenly found themselves surrounded. Human ships were everywhere above, below, on all sides. They moved fast, faster than Veth ships could track. What is happening? The speaker asked. Ambassador Una, can you explain? Una stood calmly in her seat. All eyes turned to her. You asked me yesterday if humanity was destroyed, she said. You wanted to know if we would surrender. You wanted to know if we would beg. She pointed at the holographic display. There is your answer. On the display, the first human ships opened fire. Their weapons were unlike anything the Council had seen before. They did not shoot missiles or energy beams. They shot something that looked like lightning made of light. It passed through Veth shields like they were not there. One by one, Veth ships began to explode. This cannot be, Kreth said. His voice was shaking now. Our ships are the strongest in the galaxy. Our shields are unbreakable. Your shields are designed to stop the weapons you know about, Una said. We built weapons you don't know about. We had 50 years to study you, to learn your weaknesses. to prepare for this exact moment. The battle lasted only hours. 12,000 Veth warships had attacked Earth. By sunset, fewer than 100 remained. They tried to run, to jump to hyperspace, but the human ships blocked every escape route. The last Veth commander sent a message to the council, begging for help. His face was full of fear. "Please," he said, "make them stop. We surrender. We surrender." But no help came. The council watched in silence as the human fleet finished its work. When it was over, Ambassador Una stood and walked toward the exit. "Where are you going now?" the speaker asked. Una looked back with eyes like ice. "The Veth came to our home," she said. "Now we go to theirs." She left the chamber. Behind her, Kreth stood frozen, his many eyes fixed on the display showing the wreckage of his fleet. For the first time in Veth history, they had lost a battle. It would not be the last. You Assaulted Earth, Part 1. The strike at the Galactic Council chamber was the largest room in the known universe. It floated in the empty space between 3 star systems, built by ancient hands that no one remembered anymore. The ceiling rose so high that clouds sometimes formed inside. Thousands of seats filled the great hall, and in those seats sat the representatives of 500 alien species. Ambassador Una sat in the small section given to humanity. It was far from the center, near the back, where the young species were placed. Humanity had only joined the council 50 years ago. In galactic terms, they were still babies. Una was 34 years old. She had black hair that she kept tied back in a simple style. Her face was calm, always calm, even when other ambassadors shouted at her. This was her gift. She could stay cool when others burned hot. It was why Earth had chosen her for this job. Today, the council was discussing trade routes. It was boring work, but important. Una listened and took notes on her small tablet. Next to her sat her assistant, a young man named June. He was fresh from the academy, eager and nervous. "Ambassador," June whispered, "the Veth delegation keeps looking at us." Una did not turn her head. She had noticed this too. The Veth were a powerful species. They looked like tall insects with hard shells and many eyes. They had conquered 12 star systems and enslaved 3 species. The council did nothing about this because the Veth were strong, and strength meant safety in the galaxy. "Ignore them," Una said softly. "They want us to react." The Veth had never liked humans. When Earth first made contact with alien life, the Veth had wanted to conquer them immediately. But the council had rules. New species were protected for 100 years. This gave them time to grow and learn. The Veth had waited, watching, hating. The session ended for the day. Ambassadors began to leave, floating up on gravity platforms to the exits high above. Una gathered her things slowly. She was in no rush. Then the lights went red. A loud alarm filled the chamber. Una had never heard this sound before. She looked at June, who had gone pale. "Emergency broadcast," a mechanical voice announced. All ambassadors returned to seats. Emergency broadcast beginning. The giant holographic display in the center of the chamber flickered to life. It showed a planet. Blue and green and white. Beautiful. Una's heart stopped. It was Earth. "What is this?" Someone shouted from the crowd. The image zoomed out. Around Earth, ships were appearing. Hundreds of them. Thousands. They were Veth warships. Una recognized their shape, long and sharp, like needles made for killing. "No," June breathed. No. The first missiles launched. They fell toward Earth like rain. Una watched as they hit the surface. Explosions bloomed across continents. North America, Europe, Asia. Fire and smoke rose into the sky. The chamber was silent. 500 species watched as Earth burned. Yuna could not move. She could not breathe. She saw her home, the cities where she had grown up, the places where her family lived, all of it disappearing under fire. Seoul, Tokyo, New York, London, gone, all gone in minutes. The week must fall, a voice said. Yuna turned. The Veth ambassador had risen from his seat. His name was Kreth, and he was the largest of his kind. His shell was dark red, the color of dried blood. His many eyes looked at Yuna with joy. Your species was never meant to reach the stars, Kreth said. You are insects. You are food. We have simply corrected a mistake. The protection period, another ambassador shouted. It was a small, furry creature from a peaceful world. Humans still have 50 years of protection. This is against the law. Kreth laughed. It was an ugly sound, like metal scraping against metal. Law? He said. There is no law. There is only power. The Veth Empire has power. Humans do not. This is the only truth in the universe. Yuna still had not moved. Her eyes were fixed on the holographic display. The bombardment continued. She saw the oceans boil where the largest weapons hit. She saw mountains crumble. She saw 8 billion people dying. Ambassador Yuna, the council speaker said. The speaker was an ancient being, a creature of light and energy. Do you wish to make a statement? Everyone looked at her. They expected tears. They expected begging. They expected a young species to fall apart. Yuna stood slowly. Her hands were not shaking. Her voice was not broken. When she spoke, her words were clear and cold. How many ships did you send? She asked Kreth. The Veth ambassador blinked his many eyes. This was not the reaction he expected. 12,000, he said proudly. The largest fleet ever assembled. More than enough to destroy your pathetic world. Yuna nodded slowly. She reached into her pocket and pulled out a small communication device. It was old and simple, nothing like the advanced technology the aliens used. She pressed a single button. This is Ambassador Yuna, she said into the device. Authorization code. Dawn rising. Message for High Command. Static crackled. Then a voice answered. It was deep and calm. We see it, Ambassador. We see everything. Then you know what must happen, Yuna said. We do. The fleets are ready. They have always been ready. Yuna put the device away. She looked at Kreth, and for the first time, she smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was not a kind smile. It was the smile of someone who knew a secret that would change everything. You made a mistake, she said to the Veth ambassador. A terrible mistake. Mistake? Kreth laughed again. Your world is burning. Your people are dead. What mistake could we have made? Yuna's smile grew wider. You assaulted Earth, she said. You should have made sure we couldn't fight back. She turned to the council speaker. I have a message for this council, she said. Humanity accepts this act of war. We will respond in our own way, in our own time. I suggest the council does not interfere. Respond. Kreth shouted. You have nothing. We destroy your shipyards. We destroy your colonies. You are finished. Yuna picked up her tablet and began walking toward the exit. June hurried after her, confused and scared. Ambassador? The speaker called out. Where are you going? Yuna stopped at the door. She looked back at the chamber full of aliens. They were all watching her, waiting. To watch, she said simply. This council did nothing while my world burned. So now you will do nothing while we burn theirs. She walked out. The door closed behind her. In the chamber. The holographic display still showed Earth, still burning, still dying. But now, something else appeared. Small dots of light, emerging from places no one had been watching. From the dark side of the moon. From asteroids that everyone thought were empty. From the deep black between planets. Ships, human ships. More than anyone thought possible. Kreth watched, and for the first time in his life, he felt something cold in his chest. Fear.